We can start.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. I request our team to take all of us to our college to a virtual tour.
और अगर छाप रही हो तो मंजिला छाप रही हो, अपना लैपटॉप लेकर।
Yes, over to you, Dolu.
Our professional competence and pride should rest not alone in our possession of knowledge, but as well as in our ability to communicate it. With this, I, Dolu Mehta, student of Bachelor of Investment Management, welcome you all on behalf of Department of Finance and Department of Commerce of K.A. Shroff College of Arts and Commerce to the webinar on teaching competence and knowledge management, analyzing academia in finance and commerce. Before we proceed for the event, I request you all to keep yourself on mute. We will be taking the question answer session at the end, and the e-certificate will be issued to those who fill the feedback form shared at the end. Now, I would love to invite our Vice Principal, Dr. B.S. Kannan, to say a few words. Over to you, sir.
Good evening to all of you. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Salim from Aligarh Muslim University for this wonderful program of teaching competence and knowledge management. Teaching competence is not equal to everybody, though many of us are teachers and we are teaching up to the post-graduation level. The competency has to be increased. It can be developed. At the end of the day, sir will educate us how to increase the teaching competency and how to manage the knowledge management. Whatever knowledge we have, how we are going to manage it, that is going to be an important thing. We welcome you, sir, on behalf of the principal of KES College and all faculties of KES College. We welcome you, sir. I believe I should appreciate the Department of Commerce as well as the Department of Finance to organize such a wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Dr. Vaibhav Asha, Coordinator, Department of Finance, to throw some light on today's theme of discussion. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Probably the word of century is, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So thank you. At the onset, I would first like to thank Madam Vaishali Ojha for bringing sir to us. And when she had first introduced me that sir is a very good speaker. So first of all, Salim sir, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि you have given your time to us and you have made it possible to attend this and throw some light. I would not be taking much time, but I just would want to add up that teaching competence. Well, in the words of Kannan sir, with whom I've spent 1.5 decades, he is always used to tell me that teaching is an art. So consider this as something which is very precious, and this has been told by many of the others, many of the luminaries, that everybody cannot be a teacher. So I think this is something which I really cherish, that we are the privileged one. The other thing is that post this pandemic, I always tell to some of my teachers that हम घरों तक तो घुस गए, लेकिन उनके दिलों तक पहुंचना बाकी है बच्चों के. So we have touched the houses. We are virtually seeing the house of our children, but I think we still have to reach to their hearts and give them the lessons that we would probably see. So I would not take much time. Thank you so much, Salim sir. Thank you everyone for being part of this. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dolu, please.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Ms. Vaishali Ojha, Assistant Professor, Department of Finance, to introduce our eminent speaker, Professor Imran Salim. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dolu.
Now we could see you, sir.
Yes. Yes, sir. It is my honor to introduce our eminent speaker, Professor Imran Salim. Professor Salim, former Vice Chancellor of Singhania University, started his teaching journey at the Department of Commerce, AMU, in the year 1992. He has joined as Professor and Dean, Faculty of Management and Head of the Department of Management at Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi in August 2006 and was eventually appointed as the Vice Chancellor of Singhania University, Rajasthan. Professor Salim has also headed a World Bank project and served as a consultant to the Social Service Agreement, United Nations, and to Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie. Professor Salim has published 6 books and 26 research papers in the reputed national and international journals. Presently, along with 7 other research scholars, he is working in the area of microfinance, entrepreneurship, and competence development. Professor Salim is regularly invited as a visiting faculty in the project management, entrepreneurship, micro and Islamic finance, and research methodology at Royal University of Bhutan. He is currently appointed as the Dean of Faculty of Commerce, Aligarh Muslim University. Sir, we are eager to take in every word you speak. Thank you so much for readily accepting our invitation, sir. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
I'm deeply honored. I'm really thankful and excited to address such an august gentry. 250, I believe. No, 211. It's a large number. And being in touch with people, which is the financial capital of the country. And I believe that one of the really dream places for persons like us, Mumbai. So I'm really excited, and I feel so happy and in fact flattered that you had been kind enough to invite me and give me the opportunity for addressing and talking to you people. Somebody has said that, Vaibhavji said, it's humble of you only that you would learn from us. I don't think that I can give anything that somebody would be learning from. But what I'll be talking today is somewhat the experience of my life. Today, I'll not take up anything from any of the books. I mean, some references are there. I'll let you know briefly. And I strongly feel that when it comes to, I'm going to talk about the competence development and the leadership, because I believe that a teacher, in a way, if is able to develop his own competences, then he would automatically emerge as a good leader. Automatic. I mean, because you, as a teacher, I feel that way. You get the acceptance amongst the students. That old Guru Shishya Parampara is because somewhere we are lacking in terms of giving them the leadership. And for students, I believe that you are going to be the leaders of the nation. And therefore, it is extremely important that you learn how we need to build up our things, how people have tried to build up the things. I would try to develop, I have just tried to develop a model which is so far logic-based. And I will appreciate all of you. It is part of my research. This project we have taken up with IIM Bangalore. We are working on this. And I would be very happy that at the end or wherever you feel comfortable, if you raise questions, because raising the question would really enlighten me also. And I would be able to build up my model further. See, my only point is that there are many authors and thinkers who have talked about the personality, different levels of personalities, and how gradually a leader emerges. I would just take a very snapshot type of thing of those theories and all. And then I would like to see what I have focused is the process of development. When we say that a student becomes an employee becomes a competent employee becomes a proficient employee, and maybe he is a world-class leader. These mentions are there. But we have tried to work on the process, that how we are going to evolve these different levels of development. The process of growth, the gradual shift from one bracket to another, and ultimately reaching to the highest possible level. To a level where, suppose you are a teacher today, then you are vice principal, then you are principal, then maybe someday you are able to open your own institution and build up, and or your institution appoints you to handle a new organization. So that is how we evolve the leaders. And there is a very simple process. And that process, this is something I am very confident that I have experienced this process, and I'm sharing with you, and I'm very confident that if you are an administrator and you are handling your employees, this process, this model is going to help you. The bosses who are sitting here, Vaibhavji and all. And I'm very sure that as a student, if you try to build up and try to understand the process of this growth, then I'm sure that nobody can stop you from becoming a leader, good leader. I'm very confident of it. So I'll briefly take up the things, and I'll try to be quick. I'll make full presentation, but I'll try to be quicker so that we have more time to talk about to interact, question the things, whatever. So I'll be sharing my screen, and we'll try to. Just a minute. I don't know.
Yes,
is
sir.
my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay, that's great. So I'm talking about, I'll be talking the things in two sets: personality development, competence development, or for a teacher, how do we develop ourselves? Number one, as an individual. Then secondly, knowledge management in terms of evolving the things that you become a leader. Because I believe that if you are able, if you are good at managing your knowledge and using your knowledge, it is just about, not about management. It is about your ability to utilize that knowledge. That you are an automatic leader. It's not just about, having the knowledge and just imbibing the knowledge. No, it's about utilizing the knowledge, which is more important, and which is one of the basic traits of a leader. So we will take some of the slides that one of the most discussed concepts: why some employee outperform others with similar level of education? Why some teachers? Why some individual? Why somebody in the class? Why a student performs better than the other? Why a teacher performs better than the other? Why I'm not being able to perform? Why I'm not good? Or why some of my teachers are very good in the department? They are much better than me. If I try to understand this is something we are all PhDs. We have the same level of education. In class BCom, in class MBA, whatever you are pursuing as a student, you see that there are some students who are delivering very well, and some of us are not being able to do it. If we introspect, if we try to understand, then I'm sure that over the period of time, you would be able to build up your things like him. You would be able to perform as good as anyone else in the class. So we will just try to see. You see, if we see the historical background of the things in terms of competence and skill management, if it was 1950s, then we had not enough developed the system. The education system was not well developed. We lack in terms of quality educated teachers. Then, in order to improve upon that skill set, gradually the concept of self-development emerged. Each one of us started focusing that let us develop ourselves. We try to, and that is how personnel management, from personnel management we switched to human resource management, then human resource development and things of that kind. Because the focus started switching from management to development. That is how we, over the period of time, we developed. Then the concept of learning for all was evolved. Right? Learning, lots of trainings organization started giving. Everybody has started giving training. Everybody, efforts were made, stage was set to everybody is learning. But when everybody started learning, you know what happened? The organizational focus was lost. People have started going all for trainings and not really focusing on their basic assignments and jobs. Then we have started switching towards strategic learning, gradual learning, in a way that it enables you strategically. Now, what happened? Strategically, if I was involved, if I got very competent in my strategies and started delivering my set of activities peculiar to others, then what happened? Moonwalking started. Do you know moonwalking? Moonwalking means we have started switching over. We left the organization which has invested in us. And therefore, this became a challenge. So, challenge was attrition. Everybody started leaving. When you develop the manpower, they switch, they go. They start bargaining with the organization. So, retention is one of the major challenges. Now, our strategy has to be in such a way that on the one hand, this competence can be developed, competence can be evolved, but simultaneously, the man should be retained. He should become a leader within the organization. The difference between the manager and a leader is what? Manager get the things done. Leader makes it happen. Things evolve gradually around him. And he can enjoy and he can have the pleasure of leading the things. So that is there. Anyway, objective of this study of mine was introduction of the contextualized program or model so that it suits to everyone. It should not be whether it is an employee, as I said, a teacher, an administrator, or a student. Then transformation of new employee into a satisfied employee or the leader. How are we going to evolve? Again, I am insisting, if you are an administrator, then we will read the objective as transformation of new employee into a satisfied employee or leader. If we are handling ourselves as a student, you are here, then we will say okay, how to transform our own personality, how to develop ourselves. That's a question. So we need to see this. Okay. Now, the subject population that we have studied for, the people that we are addressing, you will find that any organization, any class, any society, there are normally three set of people: non-performers, high performers, or averagely motivated. Non-performers are those that, whatever you do, they will not respond. They will not work. They will not commit to their cause, to their objective, to whatever. Then there are very high performers. High performers are who? That despite all the odds, they will deliver. There is no issue. No questions asked. They will deliver. Even if you stop them, try to stop them, try to not to allow them, then I'm sure still they'll work. For instance, I'll give you a small example. COVID-19. On 23rd March, complete lockdown was declared. On 26th, I took a class which is available on the YouTube for my students. Though at that time, Zoom was a new experiment for me. And from 29th of March, my whole of the department started taking classes. And I take the pride in saying that my department is a high performer unit of the university. But let us understand one thing. Now you assess each one of you, whether in your institution as an employee or whether in the class, how many non-performers or very high performers are there? And what is the proportion of averagely motivated people? Please write it in the chat box. Quick. Just a few, 2, 3 quick responses. Let me see that everybody is not sleeping. What do you think? What is the ratio of non-performers, high performers, and average? What? Yes, sir. Give an average of each. Right. I also believe that non-performers are there, high performers are also there, but the masses are averagely motivated. The averages are more. And when we say average, means somewhere scoring 50 to 70%. The masses are there. There may be a performer who goes through 85, 90, whatever percentage. There are certain non-performers I need not to mention, because I'm believing that this lecture is being attended by all the performers, I hope, or at least the averagely motivated. So I take it for granted. But anyway, we will not go for backbiting for the backbenchers, because I had also been a backbencher. Anyway, so you see that the masses are averagely motivated. So what model I will propose, it is for the averagely motivated people. Because I believe that non-performers could always be there 1, 2, 3, 5. They will never work, whatever you do. But maybe with this model, you can try. High performers, they don't need anything. They will perform. But the averagely motivated people, 60 to 70%, most of us are. This could be of real help. Now, let us see. What is competence? Just a cluster of related abilities, commitment, knowledge, and skill that enables a person to deliver, to act effectively in a job or in a situation. Different authors ने इस बात को कहा है. Now, let us see. I have tried to work to explain one of the seminal works given by Dreyfus. Dreyfus model of skill acquisition, which simply categorize the employees in the form of novice, then advanced, beginner. Initially, you join and you start learning, then you become competent, then you become proficient, then maybe you are the expert. Now, this is true with every student, with anybody who is willing to work. These are some 5 stages of your growth and development, be it as an employee or as an individual. This was proposed by Dreyfus. Dreyfus was one of the great thinkers. He worked with the Air Force. Then this is it. Here, the idea was that if an individual joins initially, you join a new class, a new section, then you start learning. You get acquainted with the things. What I am to study, what are the chapters, what is the syllabus, all those things. Gradually, you start developing. And then, if you work hard, if you work well, then you become competent, then proficient, and then expert. Now, my point is that if these are the stages, and you know, I know, everybody knows, then why not everybody develops? I feel and I strongly believe that there are certain specific reasons that will be discussed. Another model we see, Drager, which is again inspired from Dreyfus. He said, novice, advanced, beginner, proficient, expert, and mastery, to whom he has given unconscious incompetence. When we join something, we don't know that we are incompetent. These terms are very close but very meaningful. Unconscious incompetence. We don't know anything. Then gradually when we start studying, then we get to know, oh, there are so many things I don't know. This is called conscious incompetence. Unless you, ignorance is the bliss. First stage pe kya hai? I don't know, I'm least bothered, whatever will happen. But when you start studying, when you start working, then you get to know that you don't know many things. And then when I get to know, okay, I'm not being able to speak in English, so I'll start working. I'll start practicing, I'll start learning. Then conscious competence comes. Gradually, a competence level will come where I'll try to, I would know that These are the things that I can do. These are the things that I cannot do. I know I'm good at speaking. I know you are good at IT, better than me. There is a generation gap. I also know that I don't know this. So when you become proficient, in the advanced beginner, you know what you don't know. In proficient, you get proficient in some of the things and you know, okay, these are the things I'm good at. These are the things I'm not that good. Then expert. Expert you become for one or two or three things. And then you are very confident. Okay, I'm expert on this. I may boast that I'm an expert on competence. I'm an expert on something. And then mastery level, the highest level, world class, which I know I'm not, maybe. And if this is also the level where Dreger says that if you become complacent, self-complacent, then your graph will start declining. Very often you would find that there are students who top in a class and next class maybe they deteriorate. Your father get you a bike, brum, 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 and gone. Your study is also gone. You become self-complacent. So that becomes a problem. We need to understand these are different levels. But my question is again, from the Dreyfus as well as Dreger, that why on the earth then everybody is not improving like this? There are certain reasons that we'll talk about. Then we also we'll see the process of learning. Briefly, we'll see that reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, then active experimentation, we deliver, we perform, and then concrete experience. Then we experience and learn from that. All that becomes a process. Another, Watkins and Watkins have given this study that you must have studied about Johari window. Based on this Johari window, the first quadrant is open area. The second quadrant is hidden area, that I don't know what I know. Right? And unknown area. I don't know, others may know. Then unknown area. Absolutely dark area, which is called future potential. Now, my point is, okay, somebody, I mean, even this chart, it makes sense. It has a logic. But my point is, okay, if somebody is not good enough, if somebody is non-performer, he will be least bothered with this. He will be least bothered. And if somebody is a performer, then still, see, he will make good use of it. He will try to introspect. He will try to ask people that what I can do. Everything he will try to do. But what about the averagely motivated people? You will find that averagely motivated people neither introspect much, nor they talk to others, trying to take a feedback. Just think of it. Please, each one of you, and be honest to yourself. Do we really introspect that? Are we being able to deliver? Do we take a feedback from others that are you satisfied? Am I being effective? Hardly. Most of us don't do it. And I also think that there is nothing like dark area. There is nothing like unconscious area. There's hardly anything like potential. It is based on your exposure and the process that I will share with you, because I have personally seen, given this age, I have personally seen most intelligent people dying the natural death and very averagely motivated person coming to big heights, reaching to big, success rates. There is a reason that we really need to understand if we really wish to build our competence and our knowledge system in a way that it can transform you and me as a leader. That's extremely important. Now, let us see. Assumption of the proposed model. masses average group of employees. Masses जो हैं, they are averagely motivated, reluctant to share, averagely motivated. Unknown capabilities exist in limited sense. You may be very talented, but if you don't get a right environment, if you don't work on your personality, you will be finished over the period of time. Okay, so I have tried to divide this into 4 levels. The first phase, second and third and fourth. I am also using the same terminology, novice to efficient employee, efficient to productive employee, productive to team member, and team member to a satisfied employee or a leader. Now, these are the 4 phases, and where I have tried to flag that how do we do it. Okay, so in the first scene, you see, I have taken the 4 quadrants of Johari window. I hope everyone knows Johari window. So I'm taking up the first area where if you are taking up an employee, or if you take up yourself as a member of a, let us say, new MBA program, then you are novice to that system, to that environment. You have taken admission to Sharaf College. So you are just a beginner. Then the most important thing is that you should have this in very, lots of clarity in mind, that what is your job chart, what you are supposed to do. That is extremely important. If you don't visualize your job chart as a novice employee, if you have a confusion as an administrator, if you cannot tell your employees with a crystal clarity that this is your job chart, then maybe as an administrator, as an employee, or as an individual, we fail. We have to understand the job chart with a sense of clarity. We have to improve on our basic skills, our communication, our introspection, our assigned jobs, whether it is a presentation to be made, whether it is a training, whatever. And simultaneously, of course, we should also meet the physiological needs. For instance, as a student, you must play. You must have some enjoyment in life. If you really wish to continue your studies in the long term. As an employee, we must, the physiological needs, the family needs, all those needs are to be met with. And there should be a provision of some training, which will be an enabling process. So a novice employee, or as a novice student to the college, to the program, you become an efficient, good student, quality student. Right. Now, the point is that this is something I believe has to be rigid, minimum, basic. For instance, a teacher. Now, let us see, very specific. As a teacher, each one of us will have to understand that our job chart starts with classroom teaching. And if we are not effective in this, then finished. Yahin se baat hi khatam ho gayi. The chapter is closed. If we don't deliver in our class, if we don't deliver in the minds of the students, if we are not able to help them, if we are not able to counsel them, and more so, if we are not able to listen to them. As a student, if you are not ready to take up the assignments and other things and what your teacher is asking, well, how are you going to grow? If you really wish to develop from novice to an efficient one, then you will have to work on your things. Work on your immediate assigned jobs. Okay, this is the first stage. Now my second stage comes. Basically, it calls for volunteering yours. You will find employees, you will find students where others feel that he or she is a blue-eyed person. Everybody likes him. Everybody calls him or her. Maybe he is very handsome. Maybe she is very beautiful. Maybe this, maybe that. All those things. But what is the reality? The reality which will lead to your development as an employee or whatever, you must understand that you have to volunteer yourself. When you start, because it is only you who knows that what is my interest and where I want to go and where I can perform very well. For instance, I'll just take a few examples. Somebody could be very good in sports, so must come out and should try to work in the school to help out on organizing sports activities. Somebody may be good in taking the tour of the students. Taking the tour is a big responsibility. Somebody is very good at administering the people. Maybe the part of the proctorial team. But this, at least in the beginning, you need to volunteer. You have to show your abilities to the bosses. If you cannot deliver this type of thing, then sooner or later you get ignored and you feel that you are being ignored. And actually what is happening, you are not being ignored. But since you have not volunteered, and therefore you don't get this opportunity. I'm not boasting, but I'm dean by virtue of rotation. But despite being dean, Vice Chancellor has appointed me as the director of Residential Coaching Academy, where I'm providing, facilitating training to around 150 aspirants for UPSC, then judiciary, public service, state level, others, so many programs. I'm heading that. I'm also running, I'm also nodal officer for a training agency, Agri Entrepreneurship. So multiple things, I have offered my services. Then only somebody has noticed that, okay, he's willing, he's giving time, he's interacting with the students, he has a control over a student or whatever. Always remember that the first quadrant, that is where you need to address your immediate jobs, is the question of your survival. It doesn't lead you to growth, no way. Because that is the minimum that is expected from you. If you want to grow big, then you have to show your interest. You have to. Do I have some more time?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. Please go ahead. Okay,
just 5-6 minutes. So that is another level. You have to show your willingness. You have to contribute to the organizational growth. And when this comes, then people would notice you. Then administration would notice you. You give a try this in your organization, especially the young teachers. See, this Johari window says that maybe you have the capability and you know. How do I know as an administrator? How do I know as a dean? I don't know. But if I see, then I will gradually, over the period of time, I'll notice, okay, he is very willing, she is very willing. Then the third level is, then you start from productive employee to empowered team member. Now the administrator will take you into the university team, into the college team, into the class team, whatever. And as a team member, you would be able to deliver. Now, this is a point where actually you will start contributing to the organizational goals. Not before. In the first quadrant, I repeat again, you are earning your salary, nothing else. In the second quadrant, you are showing your motivation, your willingness to contribute. In the third quadrant, actually the organization start using you, taking you to the, you develop a sense of confidence. Your boss would notice, okay, yeah, he is too willing. And you will start getting some work. You will become the part of the team, and gradually your interpersonal relations would improve. You will get an opportunity for new learnings. So from a productive employee to you become an empowered team member. Now you will have a say. You will be one of the policy makers and decision makers of the organization. And remember this thing, that if you work into these three quadrants, then all your abilities will be nurtured. I still remember when I was young enough, about 7-8 years back, I was called by the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University. Dr. Salim, you join us as the provost of the residence hall. I said, sir, I cannot do it. Tell him, no, come on, you can do it. I know. And it happened. For a few days, I kept on thinking whether I would be able to deliver or will be kicked out. But then I worked there for about 3 years. So this is how your organization start using you. And you start feeling good. Different facets of your personality get opportunity to develop. And if this so happens, then from an empowered team member, you become a leader. I strongly believe that if you want to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. You have to be a good team member. You cannot have a leader if you are not honest to your organization, if you are not a good follower, if you don't believe in leadership, then you can't be a leader. So remember one thing, that if you want to build up your competence, if you want to utilize your knowledge, not only manage, but utilize it, then start supporting to your administration. Start supporting to the students. That will build up a leader within you. Then there will be a convergence of traits. You would learn from others. You will start entering into the highest level of leads of motivation, self-actualization. I want to deliver. I want to talk to you. I wanted to meet all of you. Why? Is it for some money or something? No. The idea was that I'll learn from this opportunity. I'll meet people. Someday, some of you would come to my place. I would be honored. So the point is, and when I have this level of satisfaction, then I'll not get around. I will retain in my organization. I'm comfortable. I'm happy. Because you are the part of the decision making. You are the leader in your organization. People are recognizing you. And that enables you to become a leader. It is a complete process. And it is a step-by-step journey. Maybe I'm a very good teacher in the class. But my chairman is reluctant and let us say, he do not use me. Why? Because he doesn't have confidence that I would be able to and willing to give more time. Or I can do something else. But if I volunteer, if I start volunteering with the things, then people's confidence would, of course, increase. So this is how I believe that as a boss, you need to create this environment. As an employee, you need to understand this. And even as a student, you need to understand that if you want to build up your competence, if you want to utilize your knowledge in whatever position and capacity, this process has to be adopted. So that is all. I conclude that role of management is competence development. Linkage between individual and organizational competence is there. Absolute linkage is there. Organizational competence could only be achieved through the individual competence. So this is all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'll feel honored.
Thank you, sir. Now I request all the participants to please put their questions in the chat box or can also raise their hands.
I think our principal, Madam Dr. Bhushan, is over here. Welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, Dr. Imran Salim. It was really wonderful. I joined 5 minutes late, but I was in to this entire program. What a wonderful insight you have given us, sir. Lot to learn from you, all I can say. And your concluding words that organizational competence comes from individual competence. Wonderful, sir. Totally agree. I agree with what you have said all through. And I'm sure it will be an eye-opener for the entire staff who has been here from the very title of the talk. I made it compulsory for all of my teachers to attend today's program. And individually, I will talk to each one of them and see what have been the takeaway, what they have learned from your talk today, sir. Wonderful it was. It was a management, definitely from Department of Commerce. And it was, I'm sure it's one of the management aspects. It was a learning lesson to me. And the Johari window, of course, I have never utilized. I have not even, I think I have heard, but I have never gone into it. I am from an economics background, but definitely now I will study Johari window. And sir, it will be a pleasure to have you in our campus once Corona goes away and or if things are all right. And we would like to interact and develop some strategies on competence building of individual as well as of the college. So wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for giving us such an enlightening talk.
Thank you, ma'am. Namaskar. I'm really honored. Thank you very much, everyone. Any questions, feel free to ask. If you have some observations.
Yes, the chat box is open. You can post your queries in the chat box or you can raise your hand. We will unmute you.
Actually, I would have preferred to talk on with a special reference to teaching, but since the students have also joined, and therefore I have tried to make it a little mixed interaction.
So we'll have another session for teachers, exclusive.
No issues, if they feel like, of course.
Under the staff colloquium, I will arrange your talk, sir, for teachers.
I'm a teacher, madam, myself, and I'm always available whenever you feel like.
Sure, sure. We'll do it, sir. Definitely.
Anytime. Most welcome. And we would love to have some interaction with you people. And we'll try to work out some possibilities of inviting you. Because we keep on organizing initiatives and we also have the provision of sending PhDs and all those things. So we'll work out something.
Yeah. Would like to meet you in person, sir.
It will be an honor. Thank you very much.
Either at Aligarh or at Mumbai.
Most welcome. I'll be honored. You'll be my personal guest. Rest assured.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, and each one of you, every teacher is a welcome, is a colleague of mine, and most welcome. I'm sure that we have a very good campus.
I know, sir. My husband is an AMU alumni from engineering college.
That's great. That's great.
And you have a wonderful library.
You definitely come sometime to our place.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Dr. Salim, can you hear me?
Sure, sure.
Hi, Dr. Salim. This is Dr. Mario.
Yes, please. Hi, Mario. How are you? Hello.
Mario, you are on mute, it seems.
Mario, unmute yourself, please.
Sir, you can unmute
Mario
yourself.
is a friend of mine from Switzerland.
Okay, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, okay, right now. Yes, I was listening to your talk, and you know, I got very touched by the topic because it's in my area of interest, and I would like to kind of add a different perspective from the one that you've given it, since I come from the professional side. the topic, because I'm into training and coaching, of corporate training and coaching, and therefore we deal with the learning and development of leadership potentials and skills from those that are already in command and are responsible for taking the decisions that will affect the development of firms. So I think to have a general point, I would say that one of the key problems I believe is that of changing the way we educate, so that the transition from college or university to the work situation is not as traumatic as it tends to be the case. And this is because the process of learning is different. In the early stages at school and university, the process is developed and consolidated for many years, in where there is a very well structured system, and the expectations of those teaching and those learning are very well set. Now, when the individual leaves the traditional education system and goes into the work education, the work situation, they find themselves a little bit lost, in the sense that they do not know, or they have not been prepared to exercise the capacity to use creatively the knowledge that they have acquired. Too much effort and time has been spent on getting people to learn things rather than think about what they're learning.
That is very true. Actually, see, the education system in most of the cases, and especially in India, is more confined to the cognitive domain only.
Yeah.
We are really not in a position to build up it on the affective and psychomotor domain, where skill is more required. And that is why I believe that my model actually proposes this, that if you are joining as a novice employee, then you have to consolidate into that position first by attempting your first quadrant only, to do the assigned jobs most powerfully and effectively. That was one thing. Then start proposing and building up the things that would facilitate you an opportunity for skill learning and climatization and acceptance in the organization. That is why I have mentioned this.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay, just wanted to make that a subtle point to create a point of discussion and thought, that so that learning is an integrated process. It should not be compartmentalized nor subdivided into areas, or the early stages and then the later stages. But it should be a process of personal development, where the individual learns to learn and is not afraid of learning. This is the most important thing. And once this is
perhaps what two of us are doing. So most of us, all the teachers and administrators,
yes, I'm sure they will.
All the process of learning and continue it over the period of time, so that we keep on learning from each other. Peer group learning is very important.
So create what it is, a learning organization that is the whole process of life. That's not necessarily work, but can be the family, can be a meeting of friends. All these a process of learning, and must be assumed and addressed in a kind of free way, without fears of social expectations.
Mario, we have Weber sir, he want to say something, or Benita ji is there. We have Dolu also. So many names I'm being able to see. If anybody want to say something, most welcome.
Okay.
Just wanted to get your understanding, since you are such an experienced person, sir. So what, according to you, has now the role of teachers are becoming? Mentor, educator, entrepreneur. So where do you see, because your experience is par excellence?
Sir, I'll only say that I'm just a teacher, and I'm really honored. I mean, I don't have words. Thank you very much.
आपके एक्सपीरियंस के सामने कुछ नहीं है सर, हम तो अभी बस सीख रहे हैं सर आपसे।
नहीं, बिल्कुल। हाँ, देखिए, सीख हम सब रहे हैं, लेकिन सीख मैं भी रहा हूँ।
जी सर।
और मुझे लगता है कि एक टीचर जिस दिन सीखना बंद कर देगा,
वो जीना बंद कर देगा,
उसकी मौत हो जाएगी।
जी बिल्कुल।
That a teacher should keep in mind. मेरे सुपरवाइजर ने ये बात मुझसे कही थी, और मैं इसको बहुत अर्नेस्टली बिलीव करता हूँ कि मैं उस दिन खत्म हो जाऊंगा जिस दिन मैं शायद या तो अपनी बातचीत के लिए पैसा एक्सपेक्ट करने लगूंगा, और आई स्टॉप लर्निंग, आई स्टार्ट फीलिंग लाइक कि मैं कोई कुछ हूँ। मैं तो कुछ भी नहीं।
बिल्कुल।
आई एम जस्ट ए टीचर एंड ए लर्नर।
बिल्कुल सर।
Thank you, sir.
I'll just say one thing, last thing, to the young generation. Today, world is very big and very open, and now the world is flat. Means everybody has the same level of opportunity. Why don't you listen videos on EDX and other platforms from the professors of Harvard and Oxford and anywhere? You don't need to go there. You don't have to pay even a single penny. The only thing is that you have to switch yourself from WhatsApp to EDX, YouTube to EDX. That's the only thing. Just a few buttons and you will start learning. And best of the people, best of the resources in the world. It is your choice, my dear. And let me say one thing. If you don't learn, and if you are a teacher, then at my age you will regret. With all my learnings, I regret a lot that I have not utilized my youth optimally. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. May I take your leave?
Sir, just for a minute. Dolu, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. There's a small announcement for all the participants that the feedback link has been shared in the chat box. Kindly fill the feedback form to get the e-certificate. This feedback form won't be shared on any WhatsApp group, so ensure to fill the feedback form before leaving. Now, I request Dr. Vanita Ismani, ma'am, Head of Department of Commerce, to propose vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I am privileged to propose the vote of thanks for this wonderful session. Firstly, I would like to thank the resource person, Professor Imran Salim, Dean, Faculty of Commerce from Aligarh Muslim University, for such an excellent session, specifically throwing light on Johari window on teaching competence and knowledge management, analyzing academia, finance, and commerce. Special thanks go to Ms. Vaishali Ojha, Faculty of Department of Finance, for helping us to reach such a wonderful person, our resource person, Professor Imran Salim. My thanks go to our dynamic principal, Dr. Lily Bhushan, for always being supportive to undertake many such activities. I am also thankful to Dr. V.S. Kannan, Dean, Department of Commerce, without whose green signal it would not have been possible to conduct an event. My special thanks goes to Nishanki Shah, Secretary of Financial Club, for designing the flyer of this event with such a wonderful color combination. I am also thankful to Dr. Vaibhav Asher and his team and the team of Commerce Department for being always enthusiastic for conducting such events. My heartfelt thanks to our management, who is always ever supportive in all the aspects. My thanks goes to the student participants and the other faculty participants, whom I am sure must have gained additional knowledge after this session. I am also thankful to all the teaching staff of our college for attending the webinar. Thank you very much. Participants will get the certificates after 10 days through their email. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vaishali Ojha.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye.